Good evening, everyone. We'll continue with the public hearing on the fiscal year 2026 tax rate. If anyone would like to come up to the microphone and speak, they're welcome to. Otherwise, there is a sign-in sheet in the back of the chamber that people can also sign, reflecting their opinion on the subject. Oh, one moment, please,
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
What, is there, okay. Sorry, the Director of Municipal Finance is going to make quick remarks, and then, thank you very much.
Good evening, councils.
Good evening.
So this is a presentation of the fiscal year 2026 tax rate. And first, I'd like to explain why we use the median value instead of the average value. The median home value is a better statistic to represent single-family home value, whereas a small group of high-value homes in the average can skew the average. We have homes that are valued over $2-3 million and homes valued in the $100,000 area, and that makes the average appear higher. Well, most of our homes fall right in the median. But just to step back to the slide, the average home value in Quincy is almost $37,000 higher than the median. Almost 75% of the single-family home values lie between the assessed value of $500,000 and $800,000. So for the FY26 tax rate, the FY26 tax rates are coming in at residential $11.78 and commercial at $23.53 versus last year's rates, which were $11.53 and $23.01 respectively. This year's tax levy is $334,912,440. This is the median home tax increase is $551.95, and it's a median increase of 7.6%, which is right in line and keeping with our goal of being at or below the average of the other municipalities within the state. Statewide average single-family tax bills increasing at 8%. Quincy's average tax bill is increasing at 7.58%. And if you have noticed, Boston's average single-family tax bill is increasing by 13.1% this year. So this slide kind of shows you the tax increase by assessment. If you look at the sweet spots, it's I'd like to look at $500,000 to $700,000, with the median home coming in at $663,400. For a $500,000 to $600,000 home, the median yearly increase would be $444.42, with a quarterly tax bill increase of $111.11. And at the higher end of this, at $700,000, you're looking at $521.31 annually, and a quarterly tax bill increase of $130.33. So we have 4 council orders related to the tax rate before you this evening. Order 2025-140 is a reduction of the FY26 budget of $16.4 million, and that's going to be coming from the debt service line. It's mainly done with a reduction of debt service with the band premium accounts. Band premium is premium that the city receives when we issue notes. It's premium because we issue those notes at a slightly higher desirable interest rate to investors, and we can use that money that we receive to pay down debt service. $6.9 million is coming from grant monies, and $3 million is coming from special revenue, which I'll speak about in just one second. Order 2025-141, free cash usage. We certified $2 million today with the state for free cash. We'll be requesting to use that for tax relief as well. Order 2025-143 is the transfer for special revenue for $3 million. This $3 million is proceeds for the sale of the IHOP parcel, part of the downtown development. Proceeds from that sale were $7.4 million. We're going to use $3 million for tax relief, and there'll be a balance left of $4 million left from that sale. Order 2025-149 is for our union contract funding of $6 million. Now, as I understand it, it was discussed at budget time that this would be the number for the COLA adjustments for the collective bargaining units. Just to talk about the free cash number. Free cash is a mass DOR DLS calculation based on modified GASB-based accounting. It's calculated through subtracting any fund deficits from the city's operational surpluses. It is not the actual city's surplus. The total appropriation to reduce the tax rate is $2 million from free cash. Next is the pension contribution. Now, the city has had a great channel of communication with both PRAC and DOR throughout this process. And I'd just like to talk about, what they'd like to see us do. Essentially, DOR wants the city to show that we have the ability to fund and appropriate the pension costs as necessary. We believe, as PRAC also does, that the pension costs will be considerably lower once the new valuation is completed. And I believe we'll have that study sometime in January. Thus, when that comes through, less, if any, stabilization will be used. We will be replenishing any stabilization that may have to be used next year with free cash, new revenues, and through other means. Now, just to go through the history of the pension contribution, the city allocated $475 million in FY 2022. Per Council Order 2025-142, the city proposes appropriating $9.1 million from pension stabilization account for FY 26. Per Council Order 2025-144, an additional $7 million be authorized to be appropriated if necessary from city stabilization account for FY 26. The excess levy capacity. For FY 26, it is believed that we will have an excess levy capacity of $23.97 million. For FY 25, the state average was $2.61 million. Quincy would rank 7th out of the 297 currently reported municipalities in FY 26 excess levy capacity. Over the last 10 years, the city has left $326.4 million in untaxed levy over that time span. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Okay. Now, if you'd like to rejoin us for the public comment period.
Good evening, Joanne Collins, 88 Hillside Ave. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to let us speak, or me speak. Like many Quincy residents, I'm deeply concerned about the rising tax burden on homeowners and renters, especially at a time when household costs are already stretched thin. If residents are being asked to make sacrifices, then we deserve to see the same level of restraint and accountability from City Hall. There's also a deeply disturbing pattern in the city's financial management that cannot be ignored. We have already seen $3.5 million disappear from the pension fund undetected for months. We've also had to borrow close to $500 million to cover the pension shortfall. These are not minor bookkeeping errors. They represent serious failures in oversight and long-term planning. Against that backdrop, the city continues to pursue costly discretionary projects. Over the past few years, millions have been spent on statues, and now we are being presented with a proposed art center at the Monroe Building, which will be funded in part through future tax revenues. My question is straightforward. If commercial businesses are lost, displaced, or converted as part of this project, does the city lose those commercial tax payments? If so, how much revenue will be lost, and who is expected to make up the difference? At the same time, residents are being asked to absorb higher taxes, while a very large raise for the mayor remains on the table. Many taxpayers are struggling to understand how that decision reflects shared sacrifice or responsible leadership. Before asking more from residents, I would like to hear clearly and specifically how the administration plans to cut costs, what spending will be delayed, reduced, or eliminated, what priorities are being reconsidered, and how will the city ensure that taxpayers are not continually asked to cover the consequences of poor financial decisions. Transparency matters, fairness matters, and trust matters. If sacrifices are required, they should begin at the top and shared by everyone. Thank you.
Bill Zamzow, 46 Tilden Circle, Quincy. First off, I must acknowledge that the board, the council made tonight available for another round of public comment, given that things carried over from last week. It's also nice we got some data from the finance director, but the data is rather frightening. We're talking about a 16 million and change cut in the budget halfway through a fiscal year. That's 4% of the budget. They didn't see this coming? Then it looks like we're going to be taking $9 million out of the pension stabilization fund reserve that they're supposed to have 25 million in at this point per the indenture on the 475 bond. They're just about going to wipe that out. Then on top of that, there's a commitment, depending on how they do the PARAC assessment review, that they'll probably not have to worry about it, but they've pledged $7 million for the stabilization fund, which only has for the city, on the city's macro stabilization. And the city's only got about 10.5 million in that. That would put them at less than a 1% reserve going forward. This is frightening. Now, the good news is, it appears that the mayor's blinked on his expectation that his announced plan to not pay the PARAC assessment of $16 million. The problem is the expectation is that the review is going to come in cheaper. I'm not convinced. We had a good year on the market this past year. That's going to have some change in what the assessment's going to be going forward. But the problem is most of the assessment, roughly 11 million, is courtesy of the COLA, which is not even funded. So that's going to stick around. And then they're only going to see a few $1 million improvement probably in the pension position for the fundamental obligation of the pension. The only hope that the mayor might have is he's going to get the discount rate changed from the current 6 3/4 rate to 7. If you go to 7, the way discount rates work and this sort of thing is it makes the need now a little smaller because it presumes that they're going to do better on a return on investment. Admittedly, this past year and the couple of years before that, we've had a pretty good run on the market. The problem is, the first year after they did the assessment, or they did the 475 bond obligation, they lost 10% of the portfolio, and they're still underwater by about 5% of the value. We've had 3 good years in the market. We might be looking at a good 4th. But what happens when we have a bad year? And you figure 4 or 5 years of good years, you're going to be looking at least 1 or 2 sideways. And just sideways puts them back into trouble. Again, the problem with this is we're looking at massive scrambling at the last minute, massive cuts in spending, taking all the quarters out of every SOFA possible reserve funds that the city has, and committing what we have left in stabilization to put us in a potentially perilous situation. I'm almost
Bill,
done.
we're still doing the 3-minute limit, and you're
almost
well
done.
over that now. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I just was,
know
you
you
interrupted
also-
me in
you
the middle of a
spoke last week
sentence.
too, so
And we don't
appreciate
have anything in place
As
where
I
we
said,
could be
we're honoring 3 minutes. Appreciate you. Thank you
No,
very
you
much.
don't. Good evening. Thank you, the rest
Okay,
of you.
thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Ziqiang Susan Yuan. I live at 8 Harvest Lane, Quincy. So this is the agenda for today's City Council meeting published on Thursday afternoon. And only today, 6 p.m., I got the updated the agenda just a half an hour before the City Council meeting. And it's at my request. So most of the items on the agenda related to taxes, and the councilors are expected to vote on them tonight. And the public hearing is also about the taxes. However, for 6 of 13 items on the agenda, there is no information provided beyond the titles of the orders. For example, order number 2025-140, appropriation, reduction of the fiscal year 26 budget. That's all the public is given. There is no information about how much money is involved. They just add that amount half an hour before the meeting. But still, which areas are being reduced? And which funds and programs are on the chopping block? And which service will be affected? Those are all important details to be considered. I requested supplemental materials from the city clerk's office last Friday and again today, and was told that no information was available. So I have to assume there are no supplemental documents for this meeting, or that any information was provided to councilors at the last minute. Is this really the standard way the administration works with the city council? How can councilors be expected to vote responsibly without adequate time to read and analyze the information? And what about the public? The public received nothing. No supplemental documents online, just a bare bones agenda. These are open meetings, and this is public information. It should be easy to access. I strongly recommend that all supplemental materials be published at the same time as the agenda and posted online alongside it. People should not have to file requests to obtain information for open meetings. Why add actual barriers? This would allow the public enough time to read, understand, and engage. If transparency and the public engagement are truly valued by both the administration and the city council, and this applies to the new city council as well, then this is where it needs to start. Be honest about where the resistance is. Keep people in the loop, and the public will support real efforts to engage them. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Ann Mahoney, 12 Farragut Street, Quincy, Mass. So, councilors, this is a meeting, the last meeting of the year, and there's key financial details that were not shared until 6:30 tonight. So we know that you don't have the information, and we know that we just found out about it when the chief financial person came up and spoke. But the appropriation amounts appear in the agenda. They don't. Normally, they would. For all the years I was here, when we had appropriations, and I disagreed when we did it, they were on the agenda. People knew about it. But tonight, they didn't show up. And while that may not violate an open meetings rules, it leaves everyone in the city in the dark and shows disrespect for this council and also for the citizens of Quincy. The $16 million pension obligation, it isn't new. You've known for a year. But it wasn't properly factored into the budget, as we know. Relying on free cash and transfers in the last minute to cover obligations is scrambling and unsustainable. The S&P and other rating agencies expect clarity and responsible in fiscal management. But most importantly, for those watching or those reading the paper tomorrow or tuning in later, this approach signals that this administration has lost track of the city's finances. Residents deserve transparency, accountability, and a clear plan, not last-minute improvisation. I can tell you there's a new council coming in. We're going to be expecting more, we're going to be looking closer, and we're going to be talking a lot more. For the last year, when I was watching city council meetings, 15-minute meetings don't cover it. And the last meeting of the year, the most important meeting, the night that you're setting the taxes, if you don't set them tonight, they won't go out in time. I'm glad to hear that we're going to be accounting for it, using the pension obligation stabilization and $7 million to backfill. That's not planning, and that's not really setting the stage for a good plan for the future. The S&P will knock us down. We had time to look at this. You had over a year to talk about it, and we shouldn't be doing it here tonight, the last night. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, William Farrell, 43 Quarry Street, Quincy. I just wanted to thank the council and thank the city for some things. I've spoken before about the issues of the budget that I'm very concerned about and the tax rate that I'm concerned about. But I want to say some of the things that I think realistically have been mentioned aren't going to fix this. Things like eliminating the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, or we should be eliminating the parade, or eliminating the parks and recreations things we do for the kids in the summer. Maybe that'll get a big headline about, oh, the city tightening its belt, but that's going to have nothing to do with fixing the millions and millions of dollars that are resulting in the costs, the debt, and the operation for the cities. It may make a splash by someone can say, oh, I forced to stop the unnecessary parades, but that's not the issue. The issue is the multi-million-dollar expenses that have been approved and the loans and things that have been approved. Those things are just amongst some of the other things that the city does that make this a great place to live, and why I'm happy to live here, and why people come here, move here, because it makes it a nice town. And although I have heard people say, well, that's something we should cut right away, you really need to look at the real things, the things that can costing millions of dollars, not these tiny little things that might make a headline, and also prevent the city from being the really great place it is to live in. But I hope you really will look at that issue of the very large over expenditures that make it a hard place to afford. And I appreciate very much your work on this. Thank you.
Okay. Open mic night closing. That concludes our public hearing. What time is it? 6:53. All right. Good evening. We call the Monday, December 8th, 2025 City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Yang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Present.
8 members.
Would everyone please stand and observe a moment of silence? Please use this moment as you will. Please turn to the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I do want to note that Councilor Campbell couldn't be with us tonight. He's picking up his daughter in Europe from her study abroad journey, but I wanted to send his message and greetings and his unfortunate lack of presence tonight. Madam Clerk, first item, please.
Number 1, 2025-138, an appropriation for $8,802.39 from Ward 6 mitigation funds for Quincy Community Action Program, Inc.
President recognizes Councilor Harris.
Thank you, President Kane. I want to thank Councilor Minton, who kind of stirred me by his actions at the last meeting on this, with money that's been sitting, and, there's some good that can be done with this money. And to be real quick, QCAP, Quincy Community Action Program, simply put, is the leading private nonprofit organization in the greater Quincy area dedicated to reducing poverty and helping the low-income residents achieve financial stability and security. Community engagement, advocacy for racial, social, and economic justice. QCAP assists pathways to assist families and individuals from diverse backgrounds in their efforts to realize economic opportunity and create meaningful connections to improve the quality of their lives. I asked for the council to remember QCAP helps every single ward in this, and touches every single ward in this city. So I ask motion to approve and ask for your support. Thank you.
Great, motion to approve made by Councilor Harris, seconded by Councilor McCarthy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash? Yes. Counselor Devine? Yes. Counselor DeBona? Yes. Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Counselor Liang? Counselor McCarthy? Counselor Minton?
Did I say?
President Kane?
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor.
Add on that, I'm sorry, Council Devine helped it last week. Sorry about that. I was, bad glasses that I have, cheetahs, and looking across the way. I apologize, but thank you.
Sure. Councilor Devine?
I really appreciate that because QCAP is in Ward 4, but they also expand even further to some other towns and cities too because they're much larger than that. They are fuel assistance also, and they also help people with mental health and a lot of other aspects. So thank you very much. It's a great cause.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Number 2, 2025-139, an appropriation for $3,386,510 to community preservation accounts.
Motion approved made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor DeBona. On the motion, seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash? Counselor Devine? Counselor DeBona? Counselor Harris? Counselor Liang? Counselor McCarthy? Counselor Minton? President Kane?
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 3, 2025-140, an appropriation for $16,400,000, reduction of FY26 budget.
Motion approved made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Councilor Ash.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before us is a $16,400,000 reduction of the budget, it seems, from the long-term, short-term debt service. I'm just wondering if we can elaborate on where that money comes from and directly, where it will go in the budget, what line items, if any specific, it will be reducing, or, the background of the funds, really.
Well, Councilor
I'm
Ash.
sorry, Director Della Barbara, thank you.
That's okay. So $6.5 million of that reduction is coming from band bond premium. $3 million is coming from a special revenue fund, which was proceeds from the sale of the IHOP property. And $6.9 million is coming from grant funds.
From grant funds.
Yes.
How often do we have a lump sum of bond premium money? Is that like a semi-annual, quarterly?
No, it happens whenever we go out to market, right? So we're going out to market again in March. Depending on the size of the offering we put out, we generally get band bond premium on that. I believe this upcoming offering in March will probably receive $2 million, and then we're going out again in July and September. which would be another $10 million, $12 million we put back into band bond premium at that time.
Okay. And so, is it an appropriation that we move this money over at the second to last or the last meeting of every calendar year, or is this a different line item?
This is different this year. We are allowed under statute to use this money to pay down debt service.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor from Counsel McCarthy, seconded by Counsel Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Yes. Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Yes. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 4, 2025-141, an appropriation for $2 million from free cash to reduce the tax rate.
Motion to approve made by Counsel McCarthy, seconded by Counsel Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Counsel DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a little bit elaboration on the free cash. It says it's $2 million. Where would we be at for free cash with this appropriation after the, if it's passed tonight? Through you to Madam Auditor or Mr. Walker?
Through you, Mr. President.
You all want to talk?
Yeah, this is the full certified number from free cash that we received from the state. There's an opportunity, Mr. Delabarba can elaborate on it, there may be an opportunity to get the number recertified in the coming months, and so there'll be some additional, potential for some additional free cash, but this is the full amount.
This is the certified stuff we were talking about last week, but we couldn't do.
This is the,
till-
yeah, this is
okay.
the certified amount.
All right. That's really all my questions I really have.
Okay. Thank you, Counsel DeBona.
Thank you.
So we have motion on the floor. Motion approved by Counsellor McCarthy, seconded by Counsellor Harris. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton.
Yes.
President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 5, 2025-142, an appropriation for $9,100,000 pension bond stabilization account.
Motion approved made by Counsel McCarthy, seconded by Counsel Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell. Oh, Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 6, 2025-143, an appropriation for $3 million transfer special revenue to debt services.
Motion approved made by Counsel McCarthy, seconded by Counsel Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Counsel Ash.
Thank you. Is this the, Director Delabarba, this is the $3 million from the IHOP sale? Is that what you're referring to? Yes, it is. Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 7, 2025-144, authorization for $7 million stabilization to revenue placeholder.
Motion approved made by Counsel McCarthy, seconded by Counsel Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Counsel DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to elaborate a little bit, if you could, anyone, Mr. Walker or Mr. Delabarba, on the revenue placeholder, can you talk a little bit more about describing that as, you know, $7 million from stabilization fund?
Sure. So in our discussions with DOR and PERAC, what they want us to be able to do is have $16 million appropriated and ready to pay the retirement cost, the $16 million that was on that schedule. PERAC agrees with us that, you know, through the new study, the new actuary study, that the payment's probably going to come in much lower. But DOR wants to see that we have a placeholder for the full $16 million payment. So that's what we're doing. That $7 million is going to sit there, and depending on where the new actuarial study comes in, it's either going to be the same, $16 million, but we believe it's going to be much less.
This is our city stabilization, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. To get a step further, it's just a placeholder for $7 million, is that correct?
That's correct.
What do we presently have in our stabilization fund?
I believe it's around $9-10 million.
$10 million. Now, just on a city municipality standpoint, how do we build that stabilization fund up moving forward?
Well, there'll be opportunities to do that going forward through free cash, new revenues, in different means, like looking at the budgets, making some cuts, doing whatever means necessary to build that up in the future. But certainly, free cash is an opportunity next year.
I knew a few years ago, we put $1 million into stabilization. I believe it was from the COVID funds, and we did some movement here, which was good. That's a very important aspect of a city municipality moving forward, is having that stabilization fund intact. So
Absolutely.
looking forward to the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the motion, President recognizes Councilor Devine.
You just mentioned that evaluation. That's about 2 years old, is that correct?
That is correct.
I get it, regulations, and that's how it goes, but will they ever make it closer? Because it seems difficult to try and figure out what something we should have to pay that's 2 years old.
That's correct, but I believe the retirement board would have to approve that change. It's something that we're willing to explore. Like anything else, Counselor, it could work in your favor, it could work against you. You could have a good year, you can have a following, you could have a bad year. And you might want to go back and use a 2-year schedule, right?
Right, I guess, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I think people may not notice that. And, I heard some people mention, that we knew this a year ago. I don't think that's a fair statement. Everything fluctuates and moves around, so I commend you for being able to balance this and keep it moving the way it is, so thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Councilor Ash.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just generally, do we know how long it's going to take for a final decision on whether, on what the number will be from the department?
We're hopeful that it's going to be in January.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we motion to approve Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. Please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes,
8 members.
thank you. Next item, please.
Number 8, 2025-145, an appropriation for $1,500,000 transfer hotel motel tax.
President recognizes Mr. Walker.
Through you, Mr. President, this is the first of 2 orders that are not related to the tax rate, but are end-of-the-year financial orders relative to the hotel motel tax and appropriation to provide Quincy 400 some cost coverage for this year and some seed money for some potential events next year.
Motion approved by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Councilor Ash.
Thank you, President Kane. With respect to the sponsorships from last year, Mr. Walker, has all of the sponsorship money come in yet? I know we transferred some money for seed money last year with the hopes, or in the expectation rather, that a lot of those funds would be covered by private sponsorships, and then the money would revert back to the original funds that it was transferred from. Do you have an update on whether all those sponsorships came in, or where we are with respect to how much money those events potentially made, and maybe
Sure.
general update on
Yeah,
the
through-
expenses related to the same.
Yeah, through you, Mr. President, we are still, so this is an end of the year fiscal, this is an end of fiscal year exercise that we're moving forward with at this point. We are still hunting and chasing and expecting further sponsorship money to come in over the course of the next several months. Again, there wasn't really a deadline put on it, so that's been happening and rolling. We have received several $100,000 in sponsorships. This body knows, I think I mentioned it the last time, Quirk Auto was a major sponsor of the concert series. Santander Bank stepped up and was a major sponsor of some of the events, and there's been a number of sponsors throughout the year. We fully expect to keep building on that number with the understanding that won't be able to go forward with any concerts and if the money doesn't work in the next fiscal year. So this will cover what we have this year and provide the base level for what we'll need in the next year.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve from Council McCarthy, seconded by Council Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President King.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item, please.
Number 9, 2025-150, an appropriation for $1,500,000 from hotel motel tax to Quincy 400.
Motion approved made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Councilor Devine.
Through you, Mr. President, to Mr. Walker. I see that we have $1.5 million that we can move to the Quincy 400. I hear a lot of people talking about our festivals and events. I was wondering, do we have any idea what type of uptick we get when we have all these events? I know that when we have the Free Jacks, certain things happen, and we have convenience stores, gas stations, hotels, restaurants, all these businesses. They clearly do more business, especially along the routes or wherever the event is. Do you have an idea of what we're bringing in? Because clearly we're probably bringing in a lot, I would think.
Through you, Mr. President, yes, absolutely, Counselor. We actually, we're engaging in a study on that to determine the exact total net economic benefit for what we as a community did over the last year. But in talking to some folks early on, that number is well into the 7 figures. The economic output, when you talk about restaurant usage, when you talk about business offshoot, everything, as you mentioned, Counselor, pretty much everything in the kitchen sink gets impacted when you provide, when you put thousands of people into one place for hours at a time. The concerts at the stadium, that was, roughly 8,000 or 9,000 people, 2 nights, not one single incident, and those people were absolutely in the downtown and at our bars and restaurants all throughout Marina Bay, to Norfolk Downs, to Wollaston Center. You could not move in some of these places during those events, and the same holds true for the special Dropkick Murphy show we did, and the same holds true to some extent, to a lesser extent, but even the events, the Christmas tree lighting. That's 5,000 to 6,000 people out here, and every place is absolutely mobbed. And that's a big reason why we do it. They're great community events, of course, and they instill a level of pride. And this year in particular, what a great year that we had. National recognition for what we were able to do through the help of this body and the entire community. But the economic impact is definitely a huge piece of what we try to do. And we're going to be able to show that in the coming months exactly to the greatest degree possible, what those numbers really looked like. But they were substantial, and we know that they were well into the millions of dollars.
Okay. Thank you very much. We do have, I have coworkers, I work at Granite Links, and a lot of the coworkers, they come from far away too. And quite often they come up, even just the other night, one came up and said how beautiful Quincy is this holiday season. So we're making some great memories, great traditions. Somebody mentioned that it was the 75th parade. that's a long-standing tradition that I hope that we continue to do, because it's very special. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have motion to approve by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President King.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 10, 2025-146, an appropriation for $150,000 to public buildings personnel for services in public buildings contractual.
President recognizes Mr. Walker.
Through you, Mr. President, this is a budgetary transfer. It's not additional. It's not eliminating anything. This is an inter-budget transfer from contractual within the Public Buildings Department to personal services. What this will allow Commissioner Hines to do more work with his staff as opposed to contracting it out.
Motion approved made by Councilor Devine, seconded by Councilor McCarthy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
President recognizes Councilor Devine.
I see Mr. Hines out in the audience. I'd like to say thank you very much for all the hard work you've done this year. You do a lot of work for us all the time, but we have a lot of buildings, a lot of things, and a lot of moving parts, so great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 11, 2025-149, an appropriation for $6 million to various departments to fund contract settlements with the city unions.
Motion approved made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarification purposes, what particular city unions did we fund for these contractual settlements?
This is inclusive of all collective bargaining units within the city. Not all contracts are settled. I would say more than half are. I think everyone knows the largest union, the Quincy Education Association. This number is reflected in that. The police patrolmen have come to an agreement and still working on a number of the contracts. But this will, as we talked about during budget time, Council, we talked, sometimes we've done this as a reserve for appropriation. We put the money aside as part of the budget. That tends to reveal the city's negotiating position, what the negotiating teams and the administration might be thinking for a cost of living adjustment, wage adjustment for the collective bargaining agreements. So this year, I believe Mr. Mason, at the time of the budget hearing, that we would wait until tax recap time before we actually appropriated the money. But this will cover the COLA for all collective bargaining agreements, regardless of those that have been settled or those that will be settled, we expect within the next couple of months.
So is this retrospect back to July 1st?
It would be retroactive to July 1st, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item, please.
Number 12, 2025-128, adopting residential factor of 87.6332 for FY26.
Motion to approve made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item, please.
Number 13, 2025-129, adopting percentages of local tax by each class of real and personal property for FY26.
Motion to approve made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion, President recognizes Counselor Ash.
Thank you, President Kane. I do have a question about the actual rate, and I think this may be the most logical point to raise it. Director Della Barba, with respect to the new residential rate of 1178, I see that as a just over a 2% increase from last year with the residential rate of 1153. So with respect to a median increase of 7.6% in the tax bills, is that taking into consideration assessments as well?
Of course, yes.
Okay. And are the assessments and the rates, are those numbers run at the same time, calendar year? So, July 1st to June 30th?
So, Counselor, is your question?
I'm going back and forth as to whether this
calculated?
sounds like I'm missing something, but I'm assuming if I have the question, my goal is to make sure the folks at home might have the same question, and I can
Yep.
get it answered for them, so, thank you. Oh, sorry, Director,
We got the
everything going?
explanation.
Everything's going by the same, everything's going by the same fiscal year, right? So July 1st to June 30th?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I've made that more confusing than it needed to be.
All set, Counselor Ash?
Thank you. Yes.
Motion on the floor from Counselor McCarthy, seconded by Counselor Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda, please.
Number 14, 2025-147, order amendment to land disposition agreement parcel R2, R3, Hancock parking lot.
President recognizes Mr. Walker.
Through you, Mr. President, before the body this evening is a minor in nature, but substantive in practicality change in the LDA that this body approved in 2020 relative to what's known as the R2 and R3 properties, both of which were part of the Hancock parking lot. Just to situate everyone, what we consider the R3 property, there is a project being built on that project site right now. That is the side facing Hancock Street back toward what used to be known as the Hancock parking lot. There was a second piece of property that was part of that original LDA, which we called R2. That is where our wonderful skating rink is right now. Just to situate yourself across from Quincy District Court and the Hancock Garage. What this LDA revision does, in all essence, is basically extract the master developer from R2. The original agreement incorporated both parcels. This will revert the R2 parcel back to the city. The city will be able to do as it sees fit in the coming years with it. So a very technical, minor in nature. The developer, our development partner on the R3 site, is working full speed ahead on R3. They are focused on that project, and a mutual determination was made that the property known as R2 would revert back to the city. So that is what is before the body. We also have, I'm sorry, Mr. President, if there are any questions tonight, we do have the legal and planning teams here with us tonight.
Thank you. President recognizes Counselor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to R2 parcel, that's the parcel next to the garage that has the skating rink, is that correct?
That is correct, Counsel.
Okay, currently, okay. And then R3 is what's being worked on right now, right on the corner there, the old Napoli's, okay. And we knew this was, we knew we had to get to this decision, and I'm glad you put it on the agenda, get this done, get moving. Thank you.
President recognizes Counselor Ash.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is really just if the city has any plans for that parcel in the current moment, the parcel where the skating rink is.
Through you, Mr. President. It's a great site for a skating rink. No, Counselor, quite honestly, there are a number of projects, as everyone can see, there are a number of projects ongoing in the downtown right now. The project at R3 right next door is ongoing. That's going to take some time. These other projects are certainly going to take a little bit of time. We are in certainly, I don't want to say no rush, because we always want, it's the mayor's prerogative and the mayor's goal to always keep moving forward, but I would suggest that there's nothing in the immediate term that will be happening with that site.
Thank you.
President recognizes Councilor Liang.
Just a quick question about the fees, if there were any occurred for the transaction or exchange of land, reversion of land.
No.
That's it. Thank you.
Motion to approve made by Councilor Harris, seconded by Councilor McCarthy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item, please.
Number 15, 2025-148, a gift for $10,000 from Colonial Federal Savings Bank Charitable Foundation.
Motion to approve made by Councilor McCarthy, seconded by Councilor Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you. And that concludes our regularly scheduled agenda items tonight. Approval of previous meeting minutes. Motion approved made by Councilor DeBona, seconded by Councilor Liang. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. Communication and reports from the mayor, other city officers, and city boards. Oh, we have the mayor with us tonight. Can I just run through these? We got a couple little business left, and you can come up. Unfinished business and preceding meeting, seeing none. Reports of committees, none. Presentation of petitions, memorials, and remonstrance. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Okay, we'll save this portion for some open mic from this side tonight. First, it's nice to see His Honor Mayor Tom Koch with us in the council chambers. I'd welcome him to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate you indulging me here tonight. I did want to come down and bring my well wishes to a number of you who are leaving service here on the City Council. I think it's important to point out, particularly to the public, that there's a great work ethic in our city, and not everything happens at the meeting. That we're in conversations quite frequently, each of you, on different types of issues. You're in contact with department heads, you're in meetings constantly, you're at events across the city on a regular basis. I understand what that sacrifice is on you and your families. So first of all, let me say thank you for that. Councilor Liang, 10 years, you've almost half of my term, more than half my term, you've been here. I appreciate the cooperation we've shared and issues and conversations we've had. I appreciate you, a council president. We went through the COVID issue, and appreciate all of the help getting through that. I remember going to a number of community meetings. I remember one at 80 Clay Street, which was quite robust, and you handled it well, and I just thank you for your service. I wish you all the best going forward. I know Councilor at-Large Campbell is not with us tonight, but I did want to acknowledge his service, and his work continues because he has been so supportive of Quincy Public Schools, boosters, athletics, Hall of Fame. He continues to work so hard on all those things, so we're thankful to him. Ward 1 Councilor McCarthy, David, we had some time on the school committee together as well. I think you've been an outstanding ward councilor. You're on top of all the issues. I know that because I heard from you on a regular basis, and as did my team. Appreciate all the work you've done. I know a couple of the bigger issues, the Maritime Center, which we've laid the groundwork for, but also the major seawall work done in Ward 1. Post Island to the neck, and you've been very involved in the design of the next phase. So we appreciate your good work over the years, Counselor. Well, 3, Counselor Ian Kane. You put the city on the map with blockchain and high tech, and appreciate working with you and the Cubic Lab, but also on a myriad of other issues. One that's probably most to note is the Furnace Brook Golf Club. A lot of discussion around that, a lot of questions whether we should move forward on that. And it is a beautiful asset to the city, and it's exceeding revenue projections that we had, so it's really a home run. So thank you for your leadership on that, and all the issues over the years, and you certainly have run a good meeting, from what I understand, according to my chief of staff. No offense, I don't watch the meetings, but appreciate your service, Counselor. Jim Devine, our Ward 4 Counselor, in the trenches every day, picking up mattresses with his own truck, meeting with the constituents at their house on issues, a real constituent-oriented counselor. But in addition, a bigger picture, led the effort on the overlay district for Crown Colony. As we know, the world's changing on office parks, so we got to look at things differently and for economic development. So, Jim, you saw the vision on that. Appreciate all of your work over the years. Councilor Minton, appreciate your service first for the police department for all those years, outstanding reputation, and I think you brought that perspective of public safety here to this body, and I know that was helpful in a number of discussions as we continue to increase the complement on both the fire and the police departments. We thank you for your service as well. And my counselor, Ward 6 Councilor Bill Harris, worked with you for 10 years, I guess, as well. Now, your years, I guess the most noteworthy issues in my mind would be the Long Island Bridge, for one, which is a city, and we've been able to keep from being built to this day. I appreciate your leadership on that, and your advocacy for the new Squantum School. As you know, we're on our 5th new school, working with the School Building Authority, and that plant was an old, tired facility that needed replacement. I also know that every year you gave out a lot of scholarships to kids from North Quincy High School going on their colleges. So, Counselor, appreciate your service. I know that I'm sure I'll see each of you and all of you around the city, because I know you love the city as I do. So thank you for your service, and best wishes to each of you. We're in the 2nd day of Hanukkah. We certainly wish those out there celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a new year filled with good health and much joy. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor. So we do have some of my colleagues who will be making transitions in the new year from this body, so I would welcome them the opportunity to share a few words if they would like. We could start with Councilor Devine.
First off, I'd like to say how much an honor and how proud I was to represent Ward 4. But at the same time, I'm not going anywhere. To my friends, neighbors, and constituents, I'm still going to be here. So reach out if you need help navigating your way through the city. I'm here to help with anything. It's been it's almost 3 years that I've been in, so it's been a lot of fun. Got a lot done. One of the biggest things I think that's coming to fruition is talking about the garages is the almost 100,000 square foot urgent care, which is basically going to be a hospital. You just can't sleep overnight there. I think that's going to be one of the greatest additions to the city, and it's going to be coming forward soon. I think the frame's being built. I'm very honored to have been able to say yes to all these great projects that have been coming online, and they'll keep going forward. The city, when I moved here almost 21 years ago, has transformed immensely, and I think we're the best one in the state, maybe the best city in all of New England, or maybe America. So we're going to keep it going. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Councilor Devine. Councilor Minton.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to serve the city a couple more years after my retirement of 40 years as a police officer. The best part of the job for me was helping so many different people in so many different issues. It was a continuation of what I did as a police officer. It's what these councils do behind the scenes that makes the city so great. Thank you.
Where are the tissues? I'm not ready. Oh, God. Mayor, thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight. It's been an absolute honor getting to know you over the years and getting to work with you and to collaborate. Certainly, there were plenty of things that we didn't agree on. I think that was kind of like, it started out as like I'm not really sure how it's going to go, but I think it became a nice, fun running joke, but not really, that we couldn't be more opposite, right, when it came to things. But the one thing that I think grew our love for one another was that we're born and bred from this city, and we're here because we want to give back to the city. And I think having that same goal in mind is what all of us are up here for and to do, and we don't always agree on how to do it, but the fact that we can all relate back to that and to sacrifice so much in our lives to do that, I think is something that will always keep us all bonded to each other. So thank you so much for spearheading that and starting that for me. This is why I don't want to do this. I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but I just, I at the very least want to say thank you to all of the colleagues that I've had the last 10 years who've held my hand up here, who've been patient with me, who forgave me when I sprung Sanctuary City on them 12 months into our time up here. All the department heads that, walked me through how things can get done for our constituents, even the ones that aren't, leading the city anymore, but are happily enjoying retirement. All the volunteers that came out over the years, and the community for believing in some 27-year-old Asian kid who knew nothing about politics. Like I was saying, I'm who I am today because of this city. And when my grandparents came here, I don't think they could have ever imagined how far, our family came or could have come in this city. And I think for anybody who knows, my family knows that we are who we are today because of what the city has given to us. And thank you for supporting all the restaurants, and thank you for hosting the events so that our restaurants can do well. But, folks have been so kind to my parents and to my siblings and to my cousins. I owe this city and this community so much, and I'm just so, so grateful to have been given the opportunity to give back the last 10 years. It's not even a drop in the bucket for what I owe to this city. So just thank you. Thank you, everyone, seriously.
Thank you, Councilor Liang. Okay, strong side left, Councilor Harris, Councilor McCarthy.
Oops. Everything's falling out of my pockets. I thought we were leaving. First and foremost, the first person and first people I have to thank is having put up with me at home. And it's a lot of us that are at home, the people that love us, that take the burden of the stress that this job puts on you. And there's no doubt the stress. I'm very fortunate of having a longtime wife of 39 years, if I got it wrong, sorry, honey, who has, whether we were out having dinner at Marina Bay and being interrupted, or a phone call that would come at an event, and all of a sudden my mood would change because I took the call that I shouldn't have, or read an email that I shouldn't have. But it's those folks that stand behind us, the backbone, whether it's a wife, a father, a mother, a brother, your friends. I've made so many friends in the last 10 years. I am very, very, my heart is very full leaving here this evening because it's been a really, really good experience 60% of the time. No, most of the time. and helping people was everything. And I want to thank my peers, Councilor Yang, I think we voted the same way most of the time, more than anybody else, when you think about it. When you think about it.
Since Ward 6 counselor.
That's right. And Councilor Kane, 10 years, I was just a little bit behind you, but 10 years. And I remember 10 years ago, we went at it. We were in an election, just a few, 10 years ago. And it's been, I can't believe where did 10 years go? So but you see the city, and the city doesn't look the same as it was 10 years ago. So that's what I'm kind of proud of, too. So I love you all. I love the city. And Ward 6 has been great to me. So I wish everybody a long, happy life. Thank you.
McCarthy?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the mayor for the kind words and thank everybody up here and everybody that I've worked with. I never knew back in 2003 I'd be hanging around here for 20 plus on the school committee and now on the council. But one thing I saw with both the Phelan administration and with the Koch administration is that they're Quincy people. They have a staff, men and women that are Quincy driven to make Quincy what it is today. And when I first started in 2003 on the school committee, I was under Mayor Phelan, and you could see that there were decisions, some good, some bad, but they were trying to make Quincy better. And then when the mayor came on, a little short of 20 years ago, I got to know all these guys pretty well. And the rapport that I built with them helped Ward 1 immensely with a lot of things. As the mayor joked about, I frequently, as Councilor Devine and I both joke about the DPW, but I frequently bother them. And they're very responsive. And what I've seen is that they want to see Quincy succeed. And their foundation is Quincy. It's all about Quincy. We joke around, but we get a lot of things done. And everybody on this council was always geared in. As the mayor said, it doesn't just happen here on a Monday night. There's plenty of conversations with the mayor, with Mr. Walker, with Mr. Timmons, with Al Grazioso, et cetera. You go down the line, Mr. Murphy, on agenda items, on financial items, and we try to beat it to death throughout the 2 weeks we usually have before we have a council meeting, and get things done. So I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank your leadership too, President Kane. You've done a great job. Everybody that's been up there has done a great job as president here, and we move it along. And again, I wish everybody a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas. And as Councilor Harris said, your family has to put up with it. If you get into it, which a lot of us do, your first 3 nights of the week, zoning, council zoning, planning, Concom, you're on a roll here. So early on, the kids used to enjoy getting in the picture when you do a campaign ad. Now I can't find them. They want nothing to do with me. So they're all grown up. But it was good, and I'm really not going anywhere. I'm too embedded to take my foot off the pedal. So happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and thank you.
Thanks, Councilor. Did I miss anyone? All right. Well, to my family and friends, colleagues, neighbors, and people of Quincy, I hope you've enjoyed this season of the Quincy City Council. It had action, it had suspense, we had statues, we had raises. But 10 years ago, this city was a very different place. There was no clear roadmap for redevelopment. The transportation, parking, alarms, and lighting department, affectionately known as TPAL, didn't even exist. And this council was a wide mix of strong voices advocating passionately and sometimes loudly for very different ideas about Quincy's future. Today, we've added hundreds, thousands of new housing units. Hundreds of miles of roads have been repaved and century-old pipes beneath them replaced. We built a city common that brings our community together and gathers thousands for holidays, events, and concerts. We added new parks, pocket parks, right-sized parks across every corner of the city. And soon, Quincy will stand among the most innovative cities in the country with its own municipal fiber optic network. And that progress didn't happen by accident. And while we up here have been fortunate to cast the votes that help move this city forward, none of it happened because of us alone. The city works because of the thousands of people who show up every single day to serve it. For constituent services, we're just a backstop. The real work happens on the front lines. To every department head and chief, to your teams and to your squads, thank you. Not once in 10 years did I make a request that wasn't met with professionalism and urgency. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. Your pride shows, your dedication shows, and it shows how good this city looks and how well it functions. To our city clerk, clerk of committees, and the city auditor, thank you for keeping the city council in line during my time here. You are the true timekeepers, the quiet constants whose work often goes underappreciated. It's been a pleasure to have you not just as colleagues, but as friends. Mr. Walker, you may be the most loved and hated person in this city for reasons that no one can quite explain. Congratulations on that. But I, however, have had the chance to see how hard you work behind the scenes. I'm grateful for your partnership, your collaboration, and your friendship. To the mayor, your job is not easy, and there are very few people who bring the level of care, steadiness, and thoughtfulness that you do. Your love for Quincy is unquestionable, and when the time comes for someone else to sit in that chair, I hope they bring the same level of care and dedication and the same constructive vision. The city is better for having a mayor who genuinely loves it. To my colleagues, past and present, thank you for your partnership, the debates, the disagreements, the friendships, and the guidance. I've enjoyed working with most of you. And I respect the commitment, though, that every one of you brings to the city, even when we see things differently. But 5 seasons and 10 years have been up here, and it's been a treat. It's been wild, actually, and it's been an education that will stay with me for the rest of my life. One thing that you quickly learn in this role is that you cannot solve every problem, you can't please everyone, but you do your best. Over the years, I've watched national politics, social media, and COVID change the dynamics of local government. And few things have become painfully clear. People are unhappy. Shared core beliefs feel harder to find. And many of us are being pulled constantly by forces designed to keep us divided, reactive, and distracted. And I believe that all these are connected. Many people are struggling, and that energy has made its way into nearly every issue debated in this chamber. But here's the hard truth. The votes taken up here are not what make people unhappy. The ordinances, the budgets, the hearings, those aren't the source of people's despair. And yes, politicians can be wrong. They can also be right. You just might not agree. But what we're experiencing runs deeper. We're living in a time where outrage is incentivized, where certainty replaces curiosity, and where entertainment has overtaken substance, not just in politics, but in how we consume information and understand the world around us. If someone speaks loudly enough, confidently enough, or angrily enough, their words are treated as truth, whether or not they actually are. Emotion replaces reflection, reaction replaces deliberation, and volume replaces wisdom. We are nudged, shaped, and influenced constantly by narratives and systems that benefit more from confusion than clarity. I don't believe local government or any level of government was ever meant to be theater. This body was meant to be deliberate, it was meant to be imperfect, but it was also meant to be human. And maybe if we took these roles and ourselves a little less seriously and spent more time examining our own motivations, our own fears, and our own egos, we might find more reasonable agreements, more durable outcomes, and a little more peace along the way. Now, this isn't an accusation. This is an opportunity. This is a call to action, to slow down, to look around, and to look inward. Because if we don't understand what we believe, or what we think we believe, if we don't question what pulls at us, what provokes us, and what drives us, we'll never make the impact that we think we're actually making. And at the end of the day, one thing is undeniable. Every person in this room wants what's best for Quincy, but we owe it to this city to make sure that work comes from authenticity. We still have something very special here. Our community stands above the rest. I'll make that bet any day. We have history, we have grit, and we have a magic. It's this special sauce that will continue to guide this city for the next 100 years. But from Wollaston Elementary to Central Middle School, I'm just a rec kid that became Quincy City Council president. But thank you, Quincy, for the trip of a lifetime. And I want to thank you for being with us for this season of the Quincy City Council. I hope you'll stay tuned for next season. With a majority female cast, new characters, returning players, former villains, and a few holdovers from this year, it's bound not to disappoint. You can check it out on QATV, check your local listings. And with that,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.